And welcome back. A Valley man took his last breath just hours ago. Arturo Eleazar Diaz spent the last 13 years on death row. Hidalgo County Assistant District Attorney Joseph Orendain prosecuted this case and shares the inmate's violent and bizarre timeline that he says doesn't begin or end with this murder. April 3rd, 1999. After a night of partying laced with alcohol and drugs, Michael Ryan Nichols and John Shepard invited Arturo Eleazar Diaz and Jose Luis Cardova over to continue the good times. But what instead met them head-on was a sharp and violent detour. To this day, it's unknown why, but what is known is that Michael Ryan died from 94 stab wounds that night.
It was really violent. In fact, the steak knife that they used on him, because both him and Cordova were part of it, literally broke off in the almost half of it remained in one of his ribs and one of the bones when they broke it off, but they kept going. They actually tied him up. They tied John Shepard up with his own boot laces, and then they stabbed him thinking he was dead, but he watched the whole crime take place, and he watched him stab his friend and roommate. And then when he calls the people to come pick him up, it's a friend of his with his wife or girlfriend, if I remember right. And she said that when they got in the car, she smelled the strong odor of blood.
Cardova was sentenced to life with parole for his involvement, and as for the survivor of that terrifying night,
John Shepard is alive. If I remember right, he said something to the effect that he didn't ever want to come back to Texas. And he was just pretty much glad to get out of here alive.
But attorney Orendain says this wasn't the first time Diaz brutally took a life. March 25th, 1999, a little over a week earlier, Diaz was charged and indicted on a murder with an eerie connection. The victim, David Anthony Nichols, no relation to Michael Ryan Nichols, although both shared the same fate days apart.
Well, the Nichols that he had killed before was over having lost an arm wrestling match, and he just lost it, got upset, beat him, put him on the back of the car, drove down to like the dead end of the street, got the body down from the car, took a hammer and beat his face in so he wouldn't be recognizable, and dumped him down into the ditch, and we had to identify the victim by his tattoos.
But Diaz would have another day in court. Terror traveled to prison with eyes set on a fellow inmate, and another conviction followed with a sentencing that one could say was a karmic culmination.
He also, while he was in jail, ended up committing a rape, an aggravated sexual assault. We tried that case completely and separate and apart without ever mentioning the death sentence. I'm not sure how it happened because we didn't mention anything, but the jury ended up sentencing him on the sexual assault case to 94 years, the same number of times that he stabbed Michael Ryan Nichols. Attorney
Orendain says a foundation to these monstrous acts is the street gang, Hermandad de Pistoleros Latinos.
He's got the tattoo right here on his side of a 45. I mean, he's got it right there, and it's the standard tattoo or the sign for the HPL.
But Diaz was a dramatic departure from other defendants.
A lot of the gang members, they're only strong or they act tough when the other gang members are around. They don't really, you can see emotions when they're going through trial, and you can see, that they're a little nervous about things. With Diaz, he was never fazed about anything. He was pretty much pretty cold-blooded on his part. And
to this day, these crimes are still difficult for a seasoned capital murder prosecutor to comprehend.
What kind of person does that? I don't know. But it was our opinion and the obviously 12 members of the jury's opinion that he deserved the death penalty.
And attorney Orendain adds that the most fulfilling part isn't that Mr. Diaz received the death penalty, but that justice was served. Now this leads to the question, can 13 years on death row soften a described brutal and emotionless murderer? In this Fox 2 exclusive, take a listen and judge for yourself.
Do you look at yourself as a dangerous person?
No, I don't. Facts in my case would probably, first thing a person thinks about, oh, he can be somebody dangerous, and I understand drugs made me be the person I was that night, I guess, because I never been too much of a violent person when I'm sober, and
do you have any regrets?
Yes, I do. Yes. If I could take things back, I would. I had the opportunities were there. I just took them for granted, never, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's something I regret too, that I had the chance.
How would you describe prison for the last 13 years?
You want to learn, you learn, and you want to change, you will change. This is a place where you reflect and see where you messed up. This is the highest punishment. And if you don't make the effort at least to change or something, I mean, I think you belong here.
Do you have anything to say to the victim's family?
I remember the father of the victim saying that he's happy it happened this way, because meaning that he was looking for me. So he would have caught me first before the law. He would have took care of me in the same way. So the way I see it is like he wanted revenge, and I understand him, because I used to feel the same way. Somebody does something to my family, I would have taken care of him.
Who has been the biggest influence on your life?
My daughter.
As a parent, would you say that one of the most difficult things is being apart from her for 13 years?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because she's told me today that she loves me, but she don't know what kind of love, because she ain't got no memories of me. So that kind of is pretty hard, you know.
What has she taught you?
What has she taught me? That it's possible if you want to have dreams, don't let nothing stop you. She got pregnant at like 18 years old, and she just graduated this past July. That was the best for her, and to learn from this, you know, and raise my grandson to be a good man.
What would you tell your 23-year-old self?
My 23-year-old self, I look back now, you know, and I think like, I can't believe I did that, you know. This is gonna happen. You don't straighten out, you know. Educate yourself, because that's the best way to defend yourself, educating yourself, you know. This has been a good experience to me, and if my day goes through, I'm ready and I accept it. See it as an example that, one, there's consequences to pay, and it's easy to get in trouble but hard to get out of them. It's never too late. It's never too late to do it right. Don't hate, just stay at peace, and it's the best way to live.
And Mr. Diaz was pronounced deceased at 6:30 p.m. tonight. In an excerpt of his last statement, based upon our conversation, it appears he's addressing the victim, Michael Ryan Nichols' father, saying, quote, "I don't know if you remember back in 2000, you were happy the way it happened. You were looking for me yourself and would have taken care of me yourself. I'm glad it happened this way. I wouldn't want to see you in my shoes. You would have probably been here, not me. I wouldn't wish this on you. I hope this can bring some relief to you and your family. I have no hate for you." Adding, "I hope this serves as an example for the youngsters. Think about it before you make a bad decision." Let's go, Warden. I'm ready.